Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the Top Brass. Today, I want to talk to you about special events for nonprofits and what they mean to a nonprofit organization. I do a whole seminar on this called What's So Special About Events, where I took sort of the negative or the devil's advocate take on special events. Because what I see in nonprofit organizations is that every board loves them. Most staffs do not love them. They take a ton of time, a ton of effort, and every board is pushing for something really big, really exciting that could be a big fundraiser. What they want to see is the black tie gala, the big golf tournament, the poker night, things of those nature that the board, I think, assumes is going to add great amount of funds to the annual budget, whereas the staff knows what really happens behind the scenes is that you spend a ton of money, you spend a ton of time, and you may make a fair deal of money. One of the things that I teach boards and nonprofit staff to take a look at is how much time actually goes into building that event. If you take out your staff's time, their salaries, their benefits that go into putting together that event, is it still a fundraiser? And that was what I was trying to teach nonprofits to do. I realized that I did this in running an organization several years ago. We had our annual Black Tie Gala, which was really elegant, really beautiful, lovely, nice. I enjoyed it so much from the standpoint of if I have to create my own event just to allow me to wear a big fancy ball gown and get out, I'll do it myself, and that's fine because I just enjoy that. I like being all dressed up and fancy and going out. So the fact that I got to run this event was fantastic. But I started to wonder if it was really worthwhile for my organization. I got a lot of pushback when I questioned because I was told, well, this is 25 years old. It's tradition now. Everybody expects it. It's great. And it's true. It was tradition in our community. It was expected. People really, really enjoyed it. Attendance was waning. People were calling it stale. It was old fashioned. It was invented or created by the people who started the organization 25 years prior, who were baby boomers who were starting to retire, age, move out of the community, be somewhere else, not attend, not be able to, do all the boogieing and dancing that they were doing previously. And younger generations weren't really catching on to it. It wasn't their jam. So I questioned it. And one year I remember recording down my time. Every hour that I spent putting this event together, which was over months, it came out to about a quarter of my salary, a quarter of my time. If I put every hour, every minute of time together that I spent planning that event, putting the event together, managing the event, setting it up, running it, cleaning it up, and putting everything back in order afterwards, it was literally 3 months out of the year. And if you took a quarter of my salary, once you figured out all the expenses and what income you brought in from the event, and then added my salary on top of it, we broke even, which isn't terrible. We weren't behind, but basically that was 3 months of my time that I wasn't putting toward my mission or working toward what the community needed, what the stakeholders needed. It was literally 3 months of my time on an event that was meant to be our annual fundraiser that once you took out my time, we broke even. So was it really worthwhile? And those were the questions that I was putting to my board where, like I said, I got a lot of pushback, which was, well, it's tradition, it's expected. But my question is then, is it a fundraiser? If it's just a great community event that is expected that everybody enjoys and it's tied to our mission, that's fine. It doesn't have to be a fundraiser. Not every event needs to add to your annual budget. But if we're looking at it as a fundraiser and evaluating it properly, it is not. A fundraiser where we break even after 3 months of my time was taken away from my mission work, I don't consider that a good fundraiser. And I begged my board not to see it that way too. And I'm looking at you, all of you out there, whether you're staff or board, to really question, what is the purpose of an event? I'll give you another example. When I first got to that organization, we also ran a car show. And I didn't really understand the car show. So this was an organization that was meant to project the history, the architecture, the businesses in a downtown district. It was a Main Street program. And while antique cars are historic, Other than that, I couldn't figure out how it tied to our mission because it was set in the downtown area. So people got to see our downtown, which is one thing. However, it was on Father's Day, which is also a Sunday. So all the businesses were closed because it's a holiday and because it's a Sunday. So nobody was getting to see the businesses, which is part of what we were doing. It was not part of preserving or maintaining any of the building or the history, the architecture in the community. It just didn't seem to be tied to our mission. I couldn't understand what it was because it wasn't a fundraiser either. And it turns out the previous director's family just liked car shows. So they made one up and made it this organization's responsibility to host. And I realized it was a lot of fun. We filled up our old town. Everybody loved it. I actually blew out the streets. The police officers were not happy with me. They closed the streets and I ran out of room to put all the vehicles in there. And I did wind up making it a bit of a fundraiser, did earn some money. Just managing it well, it turned out to be a little bit of a fundraiser and a great community event. But what I realized is our organization doesn't need to run it. It's great for the community. They enjoy it. It's a really nice event, but it has nothing to do with our mission. It's not a fundraiser. It's not for building awareness. It had no purpose to our organization other than somebody who used to work here loved doing it. That was the only tie that it had to our organization. So upon evaluation, we realized, and I was very fortunate that my board agreed with me, that this was not an event that we needed to run. But it was an event that the community enjoyed and we didn't want to kill it. So we found another organization who was very happy to have it, taught them the ropes and taught them how to turn it into a bigger fundraiser even than we had made it. So they were very happy to have it. We were very happy to give it away. It just didn't serve the purpose for us. So one of the things that I ask people to do is to take a look at your events from a mission standpoint. Is it serving your mission? Is it helping you enhance your mission? Other purposes that an event can serve is building awareness. And a great way to do that is to have all of your staff and all of your board wear something with your organization's name on it. It can just be a little name tag that has engraved the name of your organization. Make sure everybody's being an ambassador of your organization at these events. Have the staff, have the board walking around introducing themselves. Hello, I'm so-and-so. I'm the treasurer of this organization. I'm the director of this organization. I'm chairman of the board of this organization, or chairperson of the board, excuse me. Have them walking around talking to people. You know, did you know that our organization runs this event? Do you know what our organization's all about? Have a table, have a stand where there's information being passed out. Make sure that the branding of the event goes with your organization. Ensure that everybody who enjoys your event knows it's you putting it on. That was a problem that we had in the organization I had. People knew our events. I mean, they could name Gumdrop Square, First Fridays, Evening Under the Stars, all the events we had, they knew. The Father's Day Car Show, the Independence Day Children's Parade. They knew everything, but you mentioned the name of our organization. They went, what, who? They'd never heard of us because we weren't being ambassadors of our own organization. And that is something that I sought to change. And it really is just as simple as making sure your name goes out on all the social media, marketing, advertising, and making sure you have ambassadors at all of the events. Awareness is a critical thing because when you go to ask people for money and they've never heard of your organization, it's really difficult to tie them into that mission that you have then. And also, as I said, I want to circle back to talking about a mission. You know, we had First Fridays, which was about bringing organizations and awareness and activities to the downtown on a Friday evening to enhance the business district. It was probably one of the only events that we ran that I thought had a huge tie into our mission: bring people downtown, show off our businesses, let it be, you know, an entertaining good time while the businesses are open and everybody can take advantage. The restaurants were full. Any business who would stay open late did business that evening. We tried to get, you know, extra activities, artists on the street, musicians, wineries in the businesses, things of that nature to help people. And it really did bring a lot of awareness to our organization, to our downtown, to our businesses. We could do history walks and tours during the First Fridays. It really did turn out well. It was tied to our mission. It was not a fundraiser. It didn't take a ton of time. but it did a lot of good in our community, for our organization, for our businesses, for our mission. And that was really appropriate. One of the other things that you can do at your events is to not just raise awareness, but raise your list. Have signups, have your ambassadors walking around with sign-up sheets. Can we email you? Do you want to hear more about the things that we're doing? Would you like to volunteer? Do you have time to give? Would you donate money? Would you serve on a committee? Whatever it is that you need, have people walking around talking about it. This is what we want to do. If it's a more private, closed type of an event, you can even give a speech. Have somebody get up there. That was one of the things that I found really difficult. I could never get my chairman to stick a microphone in front of his face. It just wasn't his thing, but I was happy to do it. And so I took every opportunity that I could. If there was going to be a setup with a microphone and sort of an enclosed crowd where you could address people, I would do it, because people needed to know our name. And, pick somebody who can be the face, who's okay with being the face. If every chairman you get is okay with standing up and in front of a crowd and addressing them, that is great. Not every person is equipped to do public speaking. So it might need to be your director or another staff person, but as long as you can find somebody who's willing to address that, that's great. But then follow up. If you've got lists of people and they said you can email them, or that they might be willing to volunteer or donate money, make sure you add them to that email list and you send out a message within the next week. Hey, it was great to meet you at this event. Thank you so much for allowing us your name, contact information, whatever it is. Here are some of the things that we need. Would love to hear from you more about how we can connect, or maybe even, if it's a shorter list and you really have some tight needs and some time to give, start taking people out to coffee or tea, whatever it is, and just, here are our needs. And thank you for meeting with me. I met you at this event. You said you had some time to give, or you might be interested in learning more. So I'd like to teach you more about our organization. And this is also a great way to get further donations, further volunteers, to tie people into your organization. You really need that community buy-in. So the more you can connect with people through your events, the better. Like I said, I'm a little skeptical on events. My seminar, What's So Special About Events, is really about questioning all of this. So I ask you to take a look at the events you have, to question them, to question your boards, your committees, your staff. What purpose are your events serving? If you're calling them fundraisers, which I know every board wants to call every event a fundraiser, take a look, really analyze it. Is it bringing in funds for your budget? Is it bringing in a significant amount of funds? The event that I mentioned, the Black Tie Gala, when you took out my salary, we broke even, and that's not a fundraiser. And to break even after 3 months of a lot of work is, it's a massive amount of time and effort and attention spent away from your mission on something you're calling a fundraiser that isn't bringing you funds. So take a look at those things. Are they worthwhile? Are they worthwhile for some other reason? Maybe it's not really a fundraiser. Maybe it does something else. And warn your board. They're not all fundraisers. Some events are just good fun for the community. Some of them are just about meeting our mission, connecting to donors, to volunteers. Some of them are for building awareness. They can serve a lot of purposes and be genuinely good for your organization. If you really do mean for them to be fundraisers, though, take a critical look at what you're spending in time and other resources to put into that event, and what is it you're getting back out of it? Is it enough? So let's say that Black Tie Gala, whether it served our mission or not, it gave us a great amount of awareness for certain. It was not a great fundraiser. It was a huge amount of time. But let's say that at the end of the day, it did cover all the costs, including my salary, and put another $10,000 in the budget. Then you have to evaluate it. After all of that time and energy and those resources, is $10,000 enough to add to the budget to make that worthwhile? So while yes, you can say it's a fundraiser, it did make money even after you take my salary into account. What's the benchmark? How much makes it a worthwhile event? And what could replace it? Because I gotta say, for a quarter of my time, I could probably have gotten more money by applying for a couple of grants, or from making a few phone calls maybe to some additional donors, trying to find additional community members who might be able to donate money or donate more money than they had in the past. 10,000 isn't a huge amount of money. So I think if you look at your board and your staff, your committees, and create a metric system for your events and figuring out what purpose they really serve and what makes them worthwhile. And you have to reach this level, otherwise we need to reevaluate it. Either something about that event needs to change, maybe we shouldn't be doing the event anymore, maybe it serves a different purpose than we thought. Really take it into consideration, because in the pandemic it has changed that a lot. There are fewer events now. They're being done a little bit differently now, I think, than they had been previously, just because of all the restrictions that we were under for so long, that just made people think about having people in crowded places. How many do we want? Can there be social distancing? Can it be done virtually? So I think already we're starting to look at events a little bit differently, but I would add that layer of analytics to it and metrics, like I said. At what point does it become worthwhile? And at what point does it become unworthwhile and unworthy of our time and attention? And could our time and attention be better spent somewhere else? For a lot of organizations that I see, time would be spent better off doing your mission, running your mission, really tying yourselves to the community and finding more ways to get people to buy in to what you're doing and donate funds, by grant sourcing, by learning to know your donors a little bit better. There are definitely other ways to make money than events, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do events, but evaluate them and find out what purpose they really serve. Are they worthwhile? Can you really call them a fundraiser? Please, please, please force your board to take a look at it. Especially those big fundraiser galas, like I'm talking about the golf tournaments, the poker games, the black tie galas, those really big, all-encompassing, time-consuming fundraisers. Have your board take a really good look at them and give them an idea of how much of your time is spent running these events. And not just you, as executive director, it's not just you, it's also, for me, I didn't have a staff. It was just me, and everything else was a volunteer hour. But you may have other staff members that are helping you with these things. So you have to take everybody's time into account, and time is money. And if you weren't doing this, you'd be spending your time some other way. So you might want to, if you find that it's an event that you don't believe should continue, or that your organization shouldn't continue doing, then I would bring those solutions to the table with you. When you ask these questions, when you show them the evaluation, let your board know how that time would be better spent. How can you replace the money that is being brought in by the fundraiser that's maybe not a fundraiser? Where else would you find that money? How could you replace it? How would you spend that time in a better way that ties your mission in a more stronger way? Maybe I need to drink some more of the coffee. But how do you get the community's buy-in with your mission? How can you spend your time bettering your mission and expanding your programs, finding money in different ways, or making an event more worth your time? What would make it worthwhile to spend this amount of time on that? And maybe it's a matter of, we need more board members and more volunteers to step up so that I'm just managing it, I'm not doing it, so that you're spending less time. There are multiple solutions to figuring this out, but really it begins with asking the hard questions. Is this event worthwhile? What purpose does it truly serve? Is it a fundraiser? If it is a fundraiser, where's that benchmark? What makes it worth our time? And if I can help you with any of that, please let me know. Events are a huge undertaking. They are fantastic. If they're well run, the community absolutely loves them. So if you feel like you really should continue them, figure out what's going to make it worthwhile. Ask your board, ask your volunteers. We need to continue this, but it needs to reach a different level of success. How can we do that? And it starts by playing the devil's advocate, asking those hard questions, doing some tough analytics, setting the benchmarks and the metrics. Like I said, if I can help in any way, please reach out. My contact information is on the YouTube channel and also on our website, which is resonance.us. Thanks so much. Have a great day.